Semi's fingers hovered over his phone screen, the cold glow illuminating his face in the dim corner of the cafe. He had been scrolling through his messages absent-mindedly, but the latest notification made him stop cold. If you really loved him, you'd be only mine. Let him go or you'll regret it. The words were simple, but the weight behind them pressed down on Semi's chest like a stone. His heart thudded painfully, breath catching in his throat. For a moment, he couldn't breathe, couldn't think beyond the cold fear creeping in his veins. The message was from an anonymous account, the username a meaningless string of letters and numbers, but the tone was terrifyingly clear. Semi's voice echoed in his mind, "It's nothing. Just a fan being obsessive. It's probably a joke." Yet the knot inside him tightened. He shoved the phone back in his pocket and forced a smile as his bandmates gathered around the table. The familiar noise of laughter and chatter filled the room, but the gnawing unease stayed with him like a shadow. Back in the apartment, Semi was the first to wake the next morning. The faint light creeping past the curtains did nothing to warm the cold pit growing in his stomach. He buried himself in work, writing lyrics, running chords, but even the music felt distant. Every buzz of his phone made his heart leap, every silence afterward, a breath held too long. He didn't want to scare the others. Not Shirabu, who had enough on his plate with the hospital. Not Kyutani, who carried his own burdens beneath his rough exterior. Not Yahaba, whose gentle spirit he feared would crack under pressure. So Semi kept the messages secret, pretending the growing tightness in his chest was just stress from the band. Meanwhile, at the sports center where Yahaba worked as a sports instructor, the day took a turn. Yahaba was leading a volleyball fundamentals class, his voice calm but firm, moving around to adjust a student's stance, demonstrating techniques with the precision of a pro. The class was lively, full of new faces eager to learn, laughing when Yahaba teased them lightly. But his wrist throbbed, a dull, persistent ache he'd ignored for weeks. As he demonstrated a spike, his foot caught on a slightly loose tile near the net. He stumbled, the world tilting sideways, before his body hit the ground in a harsh thud. His wrist twisted painfully beneath him. The pain blossomed instantly, sharp and unforgiving. He clenched his teeth, trying not to alarm the class, but the color drained from his face. He heard a student gasp in shock, screaming his name and rushing forward. "It's okay," Yahaba forced a smile through the pain. "Just a little slip. I'll be fine." But inside, a tight knot of worry tightened, not just about his wrist, but about the weight of expectations he always carried. He wrapped his wrist loosely in a bandage from the first aid kit but left early, limping slightly as he locked the door behind him. That evening, Semi returned home later than usual from band practice, exhaustion tugging at every fiber of his body. The soft hum of the city filtered through the open window as he stepped inside, expecting the usual calm. But the moment he saw Yahaba sitting on the couch, his arm wrapped in thick white bandages and his usually bright eyes dimmed with tiredness, something inside Semi shattered. His breath caught painfully. Panic surged like wildfire. "It's him," Semi thought, his mind racing to the threatening messages, the ominous tone behind them. Did they? Semi's hands trembled as he crossed the room in a rush, heart pounding louder than his footsteps. "Shigeru." His voice was shaky, barely a whisper. Yahaba looked up, startled but steady. "Hey, Ida, I'm okay," he said softly, wincing as he shifted his bandaged arm. "It was just an accident at work. I fell during a demonstration. You know how clumsy I can get." Semi shook his head, panic clenching his throat. No, this can't be right. Who did this to you? Tell me." Yahaba's eyes widened, confusion flickering across his face. "No one did this to me." From the hallway, hurried footsteps announced Kyutani and Shirabu's arrival. They exchanged concerned glances before moving closer. "We're here," Shirabu said quietly. Semi's breathing was ragged, chest rising and falling too fast. "This is my fault. I should have protected you." Kyutani's hand landed firmly on Semi's shoulder, trying to ground him. "Hey, you didn't do this." But Semi's mind was trapped in spirals of guilt and fear. Yahaba, despite the pain radiating from his wrist, offered a small, brave smile. "I'm fine, really. Just a sprain. I'll see a doctor tomorrow." Shirabu knelt beside him, eyes carefully scanning the bandages. "How bad is it?" "Not too bad," Yahaba replied, voice quiet. "But it hurts more than I want to admit." Semi sank to his knees, head in his hands, overwhelmed. The apartment, once filled with their usual warmth and teasing banter, felt fragile now, like a thin sheet stretched over something too heavy to bear. Kyutani's gruff voice cut through the silence. "You're not alone in this. Whoever's sending those messages, we'll deal with it." Shirabu's gaze softened as he looked at Semi. "But you have to tell us. Don't carry this by yourself." Semi lifted his tear-glossed eyes. "I was scared. I didn't want you all to worry." Kyutani pulled him up into a rough, grounding hug. "That's what we're here for." Yahaba reached out, threading his fingers through Semi's trembling ones. Semi let himself lean into them, the panic easing into something warmer, something like hope. The rest of the night stretched quietly. Shirabu reviewed medical articles softly, a calming presence beside Yahaba, who rested his head on Kyutani's lap as his wrist throbbed but felt safer there. Semi hummed softly, fingers absently stroking Kyutani's arm as the city lights flickered through the window. Those shadows loomed outside and inside, their shared love was the fragile light that held the darkness at bay. Semi's mind circled the messages, the accident, the fear that bubbled too close to the surface. He realized how much he'd bottled inside, the silent battle he'd fought alone. But now, surrounded by the warmth and steady presence of his boyfriends, the weight felt just a little lighter. Together, they would face whatever came next. Part 3 coming soon.